If you felt stuck in the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed about money, and wondering if there's a way out, this video is for you. I've been there too, and the relief of payday is quickly replaced by the anxiety of seeing that balance dwindle. It's a tough place to be. But I want you to know there is a way out. And it starts with understanding why this cycle exists and how you can begin to break free from it. Let's get into this conversation and create a mindset shift to create financial stability for yourself. It's not about quick fixes or unrealistic promises. It's about making intentional choices to prioritize your future self.
People that are in that paycheck to paycheck cycle, which I was in for many, many years of my life, where I'd get paid for my call center, I'd go and spend the money, and I'd pretty much spend all the money within the first couple of days of getting the paycheck, and I was just waiting the next 3 weeks for the next paycheck. What advice would you give them about getting out of that cycle? Because you almost feel imprisoned by that cycle if you're in it.
Absolutely. Well, before I give the advice, I want to explain to that person what's happening, because you are the prime customer for our economic system. Banks love you because they can sell you payday loans, they can sell you credit cards, they can sell you lines of credit, and they can keep you in debt for the rest of your life, which means you keep making the bank rich. Corporations love you because you're not going to think twice when we show you this nice bag, when we show you this nice vacation. You're going to want the stuff, and so we love selling you the stuff. The government loves you because you're going to pay the highest taxes. Employees pay the highest taxes. And so when you're in that situation, you are making everybody else rich at your expense. And so if you want to break out of this, the first thing you got to understand, you need to make yourself rich before you make everybody else rich. Because when you're spending all your money, you are putting your money into their pockets. And you have to stop that. You got to keep that money for yourself. You're in a boat. Think of it this way. You're in a boat. And this boat has water just flowing in, and you are sinking. And you got to start by sealing the holes. You got to stop the water leaving this. You got to stop the water coming in. You got to stop the bleeding. And that means you got to stop the spending. So if you are in what I call the financial danger zone, which is you don't have $2,000 saved up for an emergency, and you have credit card debt. If you are in that situation, you are in the financial danger zone and you have to make drastic changes. That means right now, no more eating at restaurants, no more vacations, no more doing anything that doesn't put money in your pocket, and no more Netflix.
No.
And the reason why I say this isn't because you're going to save $15 a month. It's so you can save 2 hours of your time a day. The average American is watching more than 2 hours of television a day. And if you don't have $2,000 saved up, if you have credit card debt, you cannot afford those 2 hours a day being wasted on TV. And that means right now, you have to go out and start using the time to learn, start using the time to work, and start using the time to make some extra dollars. So what do? Start selling stuff, stop spending money.
Selling stuff you own.
Selling stuff you own. So if you have a TV that you're not using, sell it. You have a car that you can't afford, sell it. If you're living in a house that you can't afford, sell it. Downgrade. Move smaller. And then work to earn more money.
I've got to say, the couple of things that I came to mind as you were saying that, and funnily enough, I put myself in the shoes of 18-year-old Stephen Bartlett when I was in that small apartment with 3 or 4 immigrants in Moss Side, Rusholme, and I was, my rent was nothing. My rent was £150 a month, which I could not afford and I could not pay. And I was intermittently working between call center jobs, and whatever money I got, I spent. And part of the reason I spent it, is because, like many people watching, especially men who sometimes feel the need because of the way society is, I was trying to get laid at the same time. And it's hard when you're a young man, and I say young men in particular because the stats do support the fact that there is an expectation that men pay. When you're a young man, it's particularly difficult to do all of these things, to cut back and also get laid. And what am I going to do? Defer getting laid for 10 years? When I say laid, I'm really saying meeting someone and falling in love and having a life. So what do if I'm living in a shoebox, which I was, I can't bring anyone back there. I can't take anyone for dinner. I can't take anyone to the movies. So what do I do?
And this is why every Indian parents tell their kids to become a doctor so their son can get married. Mm-hmm. It's the same concept. But here's the thing. you have to pick your hard. Either life's going to be hard now or it's going to be hard for the rest of your life. And you have to pick what's more important to you right now. And, if we talk about balance, if you want to have a balance of everything where you want to find a girl and you want to make money and you want to stay healthy, you are dividing your attention everywhere. I'm not saying it's impossible, but very few people can actually do everything all at once. And if your number one goal is to become wealthy, if your number one goal is to turn your finances around, you have to get serious about it, because where you put your attention is where you get the results. And so if you want to be in a better financial situation, you are going to have to make sacrifices. And it's difficult. I can't come here and tell you it's going to be easy, because that's going to be me lying to you.
I got to be honest, I did make a sacrifice. And for me, the sacrifice was I started a business. And frankly, that meant that I didn't have time to be going out, getting laid, or meeting people, or socializing. But my story arc ends with it going well, and then the romantic situation taking care of itself many years later, once it had gone well, because I was so focused on myself. And it's funny, there is a bit of a paradox to life that the more you actually focus inward, the more you become a magnet.
Yeah.
And the more I focused outward, the more I pursued and chased and sort of neglected myself, the more harder it was to get people interested in me.
Yeah. And, I also want to say that when I talk about building wealth, I'm not talking about becoming a money hungry, just money greedy, this evil person that just cares about money. That's not what I'm talking about, because I want you to live a holistic life, because money is just one part of your life. But the second part to that is I'm not telling you to never enjoy life. I'm telling you to make a sacrifice for a period of your life. That way you can enjoy the rest of your life and never have to worry about money again.
It's hard for us to naturally see life as seasons, especially when we're looking forward. When we're looking back, it's very easy to say, that was that season. Like I can sit here now and say, that 20 to 25 was that sacrifice everything in my life to make myself something season. Mm-hmm. And then 25 to 30 was like building and learning. And then I now, can think of, it's easier actually now to think forward in seasons now that I've been through some seasons. But for someone that hasn't been through seasons in life, it's hard to think about life in those terms. I now think of my life in these 5-year seasons. Mm-hmm. And that helps me to say even have conversations with my partner where I go, this is the season I'm in. And it will last probably roughly this long. And I'm going to sacrifice these things and prioritize these things in this season. Mm-hmm. But it's hard for people to understand this idea.
It's difficult. And that sacrifice is difficult, especially during a time where everybody's showing off everything on Instagram. Mm. You look at your friends who have a crappy job, but they're driving around in nicer cars, going on better vacations, going to the nicer restaurants, and you're thinking, what did I do wrong? Hmm. And then especially if you're a guy, you have a girlfriend, you have a wife, she's going to say, how come they keep getting to go to Cancun? They keep going to these nice restaurants. How come you can't take me to these nice places? And now you feel like you're doing something wrong, because where is this discrepancy? The reason why I call my show The Minority Mindset is because I'm a big advocate of not doing what the majority of people do. The first time I made $1 million in a year, I was in my 20s. I was driving a car worth $500. It didn't have a bumper on it. It was not pretty. My wife sat in that car with me, and my employees drove better cars than I did. So, you got to be confident, and you got to work for something bigger. And you want a partner that's going to understand that. That's my belief. Which is not the easy thing.
It's interesting because confidence is such a internal thing. And I just feel like I probably didn't have it then. Because I think I was scared for someone to know that I was broke. I was so scared for someone to know that I was broke that I just didn't entertain romantic relationships.
And that is the reason why so many people will go into debt to buy vacations, to buy things, to buy stuff, to look rich. And ironically, that's the key thing that keeps so many people poor for the rest of their life, is because they're scared to look broke. And now when you try to look rich, that's the thing that's actually keeping you broke.
There's another element to this, which is my life was pretty miserable. So when you have a relatively miserable life, when you don't have many nice things because you're working in a call center as I was until 11 o'clock at night time, doing overtime, every overtime hour I could get. Then because you're also lonely, you're going home alone, walking home because you can't afford the bus. Anything that gives you a little dopamine hit. Gambling. This is why all the gambling shops are in the areas that struggle the worst financially, because a lot of people say because those people are looking for that, that big payday, that dopamine hit from a payday. My TV in my tiny, tiny little bedsit room was like half the size of the wall. I was making reckless spending decisions because I think it gave me some kind of hit that I was missing in my life. It gave me like a dopamine rush and there wasn't many things giving me a dopamine hit at that point in my life.
And see, here's the thing. During that time, you are making emotional decisions.
Yes.
As many people are. And it's very difficult to speak logic to emotion. But this is where now you have to be able to understand the difference. Because if you're listening to this and you're in that situation, you have to understand that if you want to continue being able to live that lifestyle, you're going to have to make some changes today. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in this lifestyle for the rest of your life. And it's only going to get more difficult. And that's the thing, is if you want to become wealthy, the first part is just your own mindset. It's your own discipline. And until you can conquer that, I can tell you everything about investing. I can tell you different ETFs and index funds to invest in. I can tell you different investment institutions out there. I can tell you which stock brokerages to use. I can tell you just invest 15% of your income into this for the next 10, 20, 30 years and you're going to become wealthy. But until you can get over that mindset, you're never going to become wealthy. Because then what happens in that situation is when you're in that state of, I just want to look rich. I just want to have that dopamine hit. I just want to have some nice things because I deserve it. I'll work hard. You know what happens next? You are the one that gets caught up in all the get-rich-quick schemes. Because someone's going to say, look, put $1,000 into this. You'll have $10,000 in the next 3 months. Or I'm going to show you can live the laptop lifestyle. You can work 5 hours a week, make $10,000 a month, $10,000 a week. You're never going to have to worry about money again. Just buy this program. And now you're a prime candidate. Because now you were driven by this emotion of, I want that. I can't imagine if I had an extra $10,000 a month and I don't even have to work for it. Because you can't see past it. All you're doing is being sold by emotion. And so you're the one that's going to get caught up in the get-rich-quick schemes. You're the one that's going to make the bank rich because you're going to stay stuck in debt. Corporations are going to love you because they can keep selling you the nicest and newest stuff because you want to look rich, you want to show it off to your friends, you want to show it off to the girls. And you get stuck in that cycle.